Hello Hero, it's Lucy Lannon here for your Ivy/Read Moon, which is a first quarter in Capricorn, happening within half an hour of you seeing this reading. The reason I say it's Ivy/Read is because it would be a read moon in terms of the full moon, but we also haven't had an Ivy moon this year, and the Ivy moon does usually fall on this month or in this bit. So if you are up on 13-month calendars versus 12-month, do let me know which it is that you prefer to use, whether you're like me and you blend energies, or whether you do something else entirely, or you know kind of the correct answer on that, because I may be wrong in saying it's a read one, with it still having an Ivy energy left over, but certainly it's a read full moon coming up. So anyway, we won't get too far into that because that's the energy of the next few days, but as you can see, we'll be reading the energy for the first quarter moon and then the waxing gibbous coming up to the full moon. So this reading is general, it is for a large audience, not everything will hit home, but it can be expected to cover the next sort of, I forget exactly how many, but sort of 6 to 9 days while these two phases occur. Ooh, hello. I hope that's for the reading and not for me, although it's quite a nice one if it is for me. So this deck that I've just put down is the DIY Love Oracle deck that I made for myself. Some of the messages in it are very positive, some of them are not so positive. Am I going to keep that? No. It is a 50-50 deck, so trigger warning for anything you see, but these are not direct messages from somebody else to you. Indeed, this is not necessarily a love reading. This is just kind of what's going on within the climate. I'm being told to pick two of these, so these are both coming out. We also have the Caroline Mace archetype deck. Ooh, one of my favourites. And this is the This Day I Am Oracle deck, which will just tell us about some activities over this time. And let's get into your tarot, which for this time around is going to be the Buffy deck, which I love. As a die-hard fan. Oh, alright. Leaping out. Is that in reverse? Yes, okay. No, it's here. Right. Excuse me, guys. You can skip ahead to the beginning of the reading if you want to. I just know that some of you like to see the shuffle process as it's happening as well. I do read with reversals, but it's nothing to worry about. It's just an extra 78 meanings to the cards. Not necessarily negative energies, just different. So if anyone freaks you out about that, just tell them they don't know shit. This one next, okay. Interesting stuff. And that one? Yeah. Okay. They're coming out thick and fast. Something wants to be communicated. That may be a direct interpretation. There may be something that needs to be said, something following on from last time maybe, because I know that last time, if you watch the beginning of this particular lunar cycle, we had a message coming in from somebody who is exuberantly enthusiastic but not necessarily very well informed or not necessarily very mature in what their offer was. Could have been business, could have been love, don't know, but this may be a follow-on. I'm just going to kind of sit with these energies. Hopefully you will not feel the cut, but I am just going to pause the camera for a minute while I take it all in. Okay guys, so whether or not this follows on from the aforementioned previous reading, there's certainly the energy of a conflict in this one between you and somebody who's not quite on the same wavelength, I want to say. But there's also a warning to either you or them that there's an addiction to conflict going on. We've got the Queen of Scythes in reverse, which means the Queen of Swords, and in this deck it's Jenny Calendar. So for those familiar with the series, I am going to spoil it because it's probably older than many of you watching, but she does die. And sorry, I felt somebody go, no, with that spoiler. Congratulations if you're watching Buffy for the first time. Sorry if I spoiled season 2. Yeah, it's somebody who's, well, the energy I'm getting is this is not dead. There is also the presence of an online thing, right? calendar was one of the first sort of pop culture neo-pagans, if not the first. I mean, pop culture pagans were around, but not specifically using the internet to gather and do workings and stuff. So there's something there about that, about gathering for a purpose, about meeting online. I'm hearing Discord for some of you. And then there's you, I feel, in the position of Willow Rosenberg as the witch, sort of, as the magician, sorry, bringing back the dead, right? I mean, Willow was the person who was able to recurse Angel with his soul. Sorry if this goes over your head, but, you know, she holds the power not to bring back the dead, but certainly to affect the undead within the town. And there's some kind of force with this incense smoke being exerted over this situation of a death. So what I'm getting for this, for like non-Buffy fans, is something which seemed to have started online and then died a death, or something which ended because of some kind of online conflict. Comment sections may be relevant, or someone sort of rage quitting something is what I'm hearing. I think the word that came into my head from Spirit was BFAR, which was like a banned thing on all the forums for the like June site posting type stuff. It means bring in Fade and Raban, and I hope I'm not going to get banned from anywhere for saying that. But basically a load of people thought that it was a really immature meme and that people were overusing it, and then they sort of rage quit the different forums, and then it became a thing that you couldn't use it, and we were all, you know, laughing and trolling each other as this happened and all the booms exploded. But BFAR as a phrase now makes me think of that kind of flouncing out of the equivalent of an internet common room, right? And I use those words because we're firmly placed in the 90s with this, and we're in the era of floppy disks carrying ancient curses and things with this wonderful calendar storyline. I'm going to go into these as I talk about this because I feel pulled to. So we've got, neither of us are perfect, but we fit so well, don't you think? Is my sexuality an issue for you? It feels like it is. And I really admire your strength of character. Again, these don't have to be love reading messages. Take them if they do resonate. But there's something here about one person being judged for their conduct, maybe judged for an overt expression of sexuality, or for a kind of TMI expression, or a meme that's inappropriate or something like that, maybe online. And then neither of us are perfect, but we fit so well kind of suggests that that did fit into that group, that it was an appropriate thing to say. Or if it wasn't a group, this was an appropriate communication between, I want to say, sneaky links, or people who were okay to be a bit flirtatious or to communicate about things that were a bit risque. For some of you, I'm hearing like LGBT stuff, and it was expressed openly between you guys, but then there was somebody that it wasn't meant to be expressed in front of, like a parent or another figure who flounced out of the situation. And then we've got some other energy from somewhere coming in and saying, I really admire your strength of character. So I feel this is you, again, because you have mastery over the situation. And this is kind of, now why am I talking about this like it's recent past? Did you notice that, guys? I didn't notice that. Anyway, so there's you sort of being commended on how you've handled this whole thing. For some of you, you are moderators on something, or it's just like an energy that you brought to a group experience or even to a partnership, that in retrospect, somebody's saying to you, no, I do admire this. If this was a one-on-one connection and that's hitting, this is like someone feeling on either side that their sexuality is an issue, and then someone else saying, you know what, like maybe we're both being judgmental about the other for one or the other reason, and I admire the way you handled that. And then someone else coming forward and saying, well, I admire the way you handled that too. And it's like a little two-person circle jerk of, oh, we're fine actually. Just for some of you, it won't resonate for everyone. Now, with this ending with the Queen of Cups in reverse, and with this being a demon figure, I do feel like almost like the way to resuscitate this situation, if it's a dead forum, if it's a dead conversation, if it's a dead relationship for some of you, and for some of you, like Rupert and Jenny, will be, I don't want to say it's like your ship, but it's something that resonates with you or something you enjoyed, or that will be your confirmation that this is in reference to you and kind of your situation. But it's almost like there needs to be an emotional detachment from the whole thing in order to fix it. And you are the person with the strength of character who's able to sort this out. This could even be a professional setting where someone's been a bit TMI somewhere. Someone else has handled it really well. I suspect it was you. And just sort of maintain the boundaries of professionalism whilst also laughing along, still being part of the group, right? Still being fitting in well with others. But then there's a management of the situation, there's a stepping in and saying, hey, this isn't entirely appropriate. And then somebody either parallel to you on the work hierarchy or above you is saying, actually, that took strength of character, because you not only stood up to that person who was a little out of line, a little too far, but you also potentially took a risk with your own professional station by kind of being a little, what do I want to say, a little sympathetic to them as well, a little bit understanding, kind of meeting two parties in the middle. Weird thing to come in, but it makes me think of the story of Solomon in the Bible splitting the baby when two mothers claimed that it was theirs, and he knew that whoever wasn't the correct mother would be all right with him saying, well, cut it in half and you have one half and you have the other. And then, of course, the correct true biological mother, although I know that's problematic in itself, but the person who was kind of telling the truth all along was the one to sweep in first and say, no, give the child to her, anything but the death of the child, right? So there's this kind of air of you coming in and saying, you're correct about this and you're correct about this, or I am and you are, if it's a more one-on-one thing. And that being the solution to actually everybody revealing their shit, right? Everybody sort of, the people who didn't have the group's best interests at heart or who weren't being fully honest will be the ones to say, yes, split the baby in half. And the other people who are not being disingenuous or who have the kind of moral high ground will be the people to say, no, anything but this. And that's how the situation gets sorted out. Now I've switched to present tense, but I was describing this as past tense, so this may be your confirmation that this is like a recent past thing to indicate that it's your reading. And I should have said at the beginning, but these can be taken as timeless readings, so if you've stumbled on it and it's not the exact lunar phase, just know that you're probably seeing it at the right time for you. With Exorcist in the light, it says freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. So again, there's a spirit of impulsiveness. There's maybe saying the wrong thing. There's maybe being, for some, it's like an elitist thing and they were sort of insulting someone, because Queen of Scythes can indicate elitism when it's in the reverse. So it could have been somebody online going a little bit far with their insults, being a little bit sexualized or being a bit personal, or dare I say, saying something that was sort of racist or sexist or ableist or something like that. And you coming in going, whoa, look, we're all friends here, but that wasn't cool. And somebody's basically recognizing that that is a positive thing for you to have done. Or as I say, if it's more of a one-on-one thing, this is you saying, listen, there was a thing that died a death here because one of us deemed the other as inappropriate, but actually I think we can both have respect for each other. And in that case, I think the other person is fully ready to say, yes, neither of us are perfect, but we fit really well. So let's discuss it further. Let's actually talk about it. I don't have a sore throat, but I'm noticing my throat chakra is really clamped up with this reading. So I think maybe with you as the magician, you're coming forward to talk about this because another person can't or won't. They feel very uncomfortable with the whole thing. And you are taking on this role as exorcist, not in the stereotypical way, obviously, of freeing others from destructive impulses by kind of bringing things to light. Now, how's this going to go? Where are we going with this? We've got a 9 of Cups in reverse with, I forget his name, but the singing demon from the karaoke episode. Then we've got, yes, believe it or not, if you've never seen Buffy, please watch it. Then we've got a 4 of stakes and Buffy on patrol. And then we've got a 10 of stakes and Faith staking this guy over here. So where Faith turns up, and then we've got this demon of communication in reverse, and somebody fighting in a fighting card, feeling very comfortable being in their hometown, right? Home turf, if you like. There is a sense that somebody here is still in an energy of antagonism, if not to you, right? Somebody is more comfortable fighting. And I'm not saying it directly relates to this, although I think it may be a continuation of the person that this is speaking about. Maybe for some of you, even a continuation from the person we referenced in the last reading as the Knight of Wands, sort of bordering on the page, right? 9 of Chalices reversed is also... It can be self-indulgence, but it can be kind of the ending of a dream, again with the death vibes, with is this possible anymore? Has it died a death? Is Jelly Calendar gone forever kind of a thing? And he's a communication demon at the end of it, right? Whether or not he's a trickster, he is singing his song about what it is that he wants to bring into fruition. And he's using other people's dreams, wishes, undercurrents, collective unconscious in that episode to express what nobody will say. So there is a feeling of a wish not being granted from this person that originally caused the controversy or conflict or whatever it was. And there is also a feeling of them feeling like they need to be the champion of something that remains unsaid. So whether it's that they're still pissy at the person they were insulting because they feel like they haven't dealt with it properly, as in it's not sorted out, they've still got beef, they're still not done, that kind of an energy, or whether it's more of a one-on-one thing and they are a little more reluctant to get into the collaborative vibe we saw here than you are, just because they can't leave that emotional Queen of Cups energy behind. So they might, for some I'm hearing they express missing you or being sad about you or feeling guilt towards you or any of those kinds of things in a more complex way, which might manifest as anger, because we've got 2 fighting cards and we've got Faith. 10 of Wands in general indicates someone who's quite burdened, so this person may be stressed out in general, right? They're on edge anyway, and then this situation is happening. And I want to say they feel more at home in continuing arguments with people than they do in expressing and receiving loving energy. Now, if this is a romantic reading for you, that's something to really know about this person. That's kind of the core of the reading to take in, is that it's not that they're mad at you. It's not even really that they're mad at anyone else. It's that they require compassion. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. Hiccups confirmation. They require compassion from you before they can step into an energy of receiving reciprocity and indeed forgiveness, because forgiveness is kind of part of receiving energy. It is something you do, and sometimes it takes a great deal of effort to do it, with someone who's done you a great injustice in some way, but it's also an energy of acceptance of the past. And wherever you're verging on acceptance, you're also saying this situation is kind of okay, and the more kind of okay it is, the more that you're fully in it to be in the state of receiving from it, right? Note the for writers, witches, artists, etc. reading that I did a few days back. I'll link it in the description, but it's that kind of a thing of it takes you accepting exactly where you're starting from, or for this person to accept where they're starting from, in order to actually take it any further. You can't go to the ultimate dream, the 9 of chalices in the upright, without starting where you're starting from. And this person's experience is one of conflict. It's one of being a bit bitter, being a bit petty, sometimes coming out with stuff that they don't fully mean in an impulsive way, because that's how the people around them related to each other. And it's where they're comfortable. It's their hometown, right? It's their Sunnydale. So just be aware of that. I don't think it's going to cause any major problems in the near future, but it's certainly an energy you'll become more aware of in these sort of upcoming days. And I think that it's something, whatever your relationship, be it professional, personal, familial, whatever, to carry forward with this person and say, listen, this is just the way they relate to other people. It doesn't make it always okay. It doesn't mean they can never change, but it's the basis they're beginning from. So I need to accept that they will start there, even if I start from a slightly higher ground or from a place of being more cleansed. You might be someone who does energetic cleansing work, salt baths, exorcisms, prayers, psalm stuff, you name it. And you're coming into this from quite a balanced place, even if you're having to tell them some truths they don't like. Whereas I think if they're coming to you with also stuff about yourself that is hard to hear, they're not coming in a spirit of balance in the same way that you are, right? So just something to be aware of going forward, but I don't think it's a big problem or anything, just needed to come out. So we've got a page of sides with Amy revealing her mother trapped in the trophy. So particularly if you are a person involved with the craft or anything like that, if you're pagan in belief, this might be a maternal relationship, or it might reference a fight with your mother that you've had, or an upcoming tiff with her, or just some kind of communication that's a little bit tense. If your mother's no longer with us, this could also be in reference to how your relationship with your mother has changed your communication style, and how somebody around you may differ in their communication style because of their maternal relationship. And when I say mother, I mean, primary feminine caregiver. It doesn't have to be a woman. It doesn't have to be biological. You do you. We're all welcome here, right? But there's something to that. There's something maternal about this. For some of you, motherhood is on your mind as well, and you want to be in a place of clear communication with this person in order to get to this peacefulness that we see with the Willow card, especially with this infinity symbol. But it's like the pentacle won't roll fully into the image, so the pregnancy isn't quite happening until everybody's on the same page. And I don't just mean with a partner, I mean with anyone in your life, right? Because this stuff can affect fertility. So bear that in mind if that's you. Obviously not speaking to everyone with that one. With the star coming out and it being Kendra, there is a sense of, what do I want to say? Like tagging someone into the ring with this, because Kendra only turns up in the series when, again, with the death theme, when someone has died or when something has died off and there's time for a new slayer. Same as Faith, right? Faith comes in because there was meant to be the death of the slayer, and then she comes and replaces. So it's like there's this feeling of, can we get some outside help in this? If this is a couple, you might want to consider something like counselling, mediation, going to a trusted mutual friend and just sort of talking about what their opinion is. I wouldn't involve family in this reading if you didn't already know what this motherhood stuff means, just because I think your idea of how you relate to people because of your familial dynamics needs to remain separate from those influences in the present. But certainly if you know anybody that you can tag in, or anyone you can speak to, or even in a professional setting, someone you can go to higher up, or even sort of on your level, but just with a different perspective, it is absolutely the time to tag someone into the ring. Because Page of Swords, again, it's like immature fighty energy. It can also be watching. And remember that when the witch mother figure was trapped in the trophy, she would watch the other students go past. The eyes were the only thing that was visible. So there's something here about somebody involved in all of this, whether it be the names mentioned or indeed a third person that was somehow in it. Someone watching from afar, perhaps with resentment, perhaps with a bit of sort of plotting energy. I don't want to panic anyone, but if there was a third person that felt spurned by this in some way, whether it's a relationship, professional thing, whatever, they might be looking on and just observing. Or indeed, if this is a professional thing that hasn't fully played out yet, or this person's behaviour hasn't been fully resolve because you can't quite tap into that bit underneath their fighty self. There is somebody higher up watching you all, right? So be aware. Keep yourself in this balanced kind of objective energy that we talked about. And again, death in reverse, right? We had 3 cards that, 4 in a way, cards that reference a character in the series dying. I'm not talking a literal death, by the way. That won't be for you unless you know and it resonates and it's in the past kind of thing. But I'm talking an energy dying off, an energy being exorcised, being banished from the situation, a situation becoming dead, and then having the option to bring it back from the dead or not to have communication that's very clear and open and perhaps involves someone from the outside, versus having the same kind of quality of communication and perhaps getting into further conflict. With death in reverse, it's like, again, I feel it's this central person in the conflict energy. They don't want to let go of something, right? I don't feel that it's like a thing from the past if this is a couple. I'm not getting a third party vibe. I know I said about someone watching, but I don't actually feel that's someone involved romantically necessarily. It's just an observer feeling. I certainly don't think that there is something disingenuous happening, something hidden, because that would have come up in the cards in a different way. What I do feel is that this person is not necessarily able to leave their former ways of relating behind very easily. And that is the death that's not willing to happen. You also notice, if you're a fan, that this is the card of the guys from Hush. So it is about silence. It's about whether you can express fully. It's just this, like all this singing and communication and expression, and my throat chakra doing a weird thing. It's like, it's almost because of what can't be expressed that they want to express in a bigger, I want to say more obnoxious way, although I don't want to insult anyone if this is a cross-watcher, but it's like a more overt, bouncy expression is what I want to say, like a more boisterous, big energy. I'm getting like the vibe of Jack Black in High Fidelity, which was in the remake, I believe he was replaced by Lizzo. But it's that thing of like, I'm going to be the biggest presence in the room, and it's very performative, but I feel it's actually so that they're not saying what perhaps needs to be said or needs to be talked about. And I think you have all the tools available at your personal altar, and you have the right mindset with this meditation sort of posture to come in and say, hey, I'm not sure that the real issue is being addressed here. I appreciate your concerns, but also I feel that this is very high tension, very high conflict, and I'd like us to step back from that energy to get rid of all the resentments and to just talk about it in an objective way, perhaps with someone from the outside. Because if we don't do that, there is something that is going to die, something that is going to end, right? A job that someone will be out of, a relationship that will not have another chance for resurgence, something that will be exercised and not be brought back. And no matter how this person changes their communication or remains in silence about something, I don't think they're going to prevent that energy. So you are the person coming in as a guide to say really, real life isn't going to go away. We need to talk about this like adults. Okay? This day I am treating myself. Indulging in your favourite treat can alter your mindset in positive ways. Allow yourself to enjoy every morsel. Again, with sort of themes of the mouth and therefore communication centres. I feel this is twofold. I think this person may take in as much by mouth as they put out in terms of covering feelings and true intentions and background and where they actually want to go about with this, how they actually feel about this. Notice I'm now stumbling over my own words because they're kind of struggling with theirs, right? But I also feel that from your perspective, treating yourself in a healthy way could be a good thing to kind of get you out of this energy, lift you away from this conflict, even if it's like ambient in your environment. And then this day I am being present, practice mindfulness, live in the present, the right now. Don't think of the future or the past, just focus on the details of now. Now, I'm not going to preach mindfulness necessarily on this channel because I know that it can be very trite, very convenient. It can be something more easily practiced by privilege, shall we say. And when you're stressed out about something, it seems almost impossible to do. The only place that I've heard mindfulness spoken about in a way that I really relate to, actually, is in a fantastic book called The Wisdom of Groundhog Day. So if you're into Groundhog Day or that intrigues you in some fashion, please check it out. I'll leave the description. But more in general, taking it away from the mindfulness stuff because I feel a bit ick about some of it. I feel this speaks to this energy of this person being comfortable in conflict and you accepting that that's where they're starting from, right? So you're present in how they relate to people. You're okay with that. You are coming into a place of forgiveness for that in order to then speak to them at their level to rise them up to where you're communicating from. And in the same way, as I spoke about earlier, their acceptance that their communication style can be a bit confrontational or can tell jokes in a way that's offensive to other people or can attack people if they feel attacked. All of that is going to come to light as a result of them being present with you in the energy that they're currently in. And I think as soon as they know that that is the way they operate and that it seems unusual to other people in a compassionate way, in a forgiving way, I think they'll be able to transcend that and say, oh shit, sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that. I think maybe it's because of this thing. I think maybe I'm used to people doing that, or I'm a bit stressed out. And then a dialogue begins, right? They already open up about what it is that's going on for them. And then you can kind of come in with, well, I see that, and I think that that might have been an influence on what happened here, right? And you can kind of mediate. This whole reading has a big energy of mediation to it, and I'm sorry to say that you will be the person doing the mediating, but I think that it's for a really valuable cause. I think that it will keep the connection, keep the job of the person we're talking about. It will keep a friendship or a familial situation going. It will prevent the death, the stopping of something that it's not appropriate yet to lose, that would have been a loss to somebody else's behaviour. So I hope that that's useful to you. I'm really intrigued to see what we get next time. If you're not subscribed already, please hit subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of any further lunar readings. The next one will be in a few days. It may follow on from this, just as this seemed to follow on from the previous. There is also a lunar readings playlist if you want to check that out. And my channel is full of all kinds of stuff. If you want a love reading, there is a love playlist. If you want a esoteric tombola psychic lucky dip, there is an A to Z where you can just pick a random reading or a random channel and it will tell you what you need to know without either of us knowing in advance what's coming up. There's also very sort of readings with the subject of the reading very obvious in the title under different playlists, so you can kind of pick and choose what you already resonate with. And with that said, and the extra information that I am doing YouTuber, so, you know, good to subscribe. I hope I see you next time. Take care.